Where you at right now as far as your guy and
Yeah, he paid me, so I'm good. I don't know that I'm gonna, like I said, I'm not gonna actively pursue him anymore. Um, we'll see. If he calls me up and he needs another load, then great. But I got enough, in the hopper. I'm feeling pretty good. I think by Sunday, if I don't have 3 new carriers signed up, which should be a total of 4 trucks, it'll be a big disappointment. So I'm not worried about this other guy right now.
you said the hopper?
Yeah, in my hopper, I got a lot of I think good prospects. So
Okay. And what equipment types are you dealing with?
reefers, I'm just sticking with reefers for right now. Flatbeds, since I'm new to the industry, there's just so much that it seems like needs to go on with that, between, tarps and straps and, there's, goosenecks and this and that and blah, blah, blah. And I'll get to them eventually. I mean, I know the differences, but I just, the last thing I would ever want is to send a truck to a load and it not, meet, what needs to happen to pick up the load. So, when I first, started in this, I just did all 3 types, and then I just figured I would focus on, one grouping right now. That way I have a better understanding of the lanes, and, I know, what's paying here, what's paying there, blah, blah, blah. And then, once I run out of reefers to call, which, I haven't, there's plenty of them out there, then I'll worry about, doing some other stuff. So.
Okay. Let's see. Robert just texted me about I need to forward the training platform link to my niece. So right now you don't have a truck until you got some prospects, but you don't have a truck yet.
Nope. I actually just got a text message. Just send it again. So I'm going to send this guy an email again.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I said, if I don't have 3 new carriers by Sunday's training, it's going to be a disappointment.
Yeah. That's fine. You're doing the right thing as far as going after the carriers, trying to get them under agreement. And your I guess your pitch or your script or however you're talking to the carriers, since you said you had some prospects, so that seems to be working well for you. So.
Yep. I mean, I'm pretty much just following what's been on the YouTube stuff and, your script. I mean, it's the same thing that I said when, on that, on the role play. So.
Okay, and yeah, everybody's because it varies in different things because you come across different carriers, different personalities, so they're gonna pretty much want to know, what's different. What did you offer them differently that the dispatcher can or cannot do? So to just go from there. So I just got off the phone with Lawanda, who was she was training under the platform, but now she's since moved into she's hiring people now. She has people under her. She does power only, flatbed, drive-ins, reefers. She has carriers who just got their MC authority. She seems to have found a niche into finding loads for carriers who have just gotten their MC authority and having a hard time finding loads. She's gotten her credit together where she's getting ready to get her own truck and put a driver in that truck and dispatch that driver in her own truck. So she's doing it. The trucks that she's dispatching for, she just told me that there's a certain amount that she makes per month per truck. It's anywhere between 17 and 25 grand a month. So you figure you count in the and that's gross. After you factor out the expenses, you got truck, trailer, fuel and insurance and then any other accessorial expenses like regular maintenance, tires, things like that, you know, you can take home a substantial amount of money if you maintain, especially if you get to the point where you get removed from the load boards and you start dealing with direct customers and you have steady freight and you're hauling for them all the time. You don't have a need for a load board unless you're looking for a backhaul. So, you know,
yep. So
that's
as a dispatcher, you know, so what's the legality of a dispatcher reaching out directly to a shipper? I mean, is that
you reach out? Yeah. How does that work? Is you reach out. You don't reach out as a dispatcher. You reach out as a representative of your carrier. So you're going to come up under their MC number because when you find loads anyway, you're using the MC of your carrier to book that load. So you don't reach out as a dispatcher. You'll say, well, I'm calling for carrier X or carrier Y, you know, and they'll say, you will particularly be better served if you're dispatching for a trucking company with, like, let's say, for example, 5 to 10 assets in their fleet. You look a little bit better in front of the shipper because if I'm a shipper and I hear that, I think, okay, you got 5 to 10 trucks, you can meet my capacity. But if you got one truck, well, I mean, it's okay. You can get this one load moved, but if the more trucks, obviously, the better chance. Like as a shipper, I can move my loads to my customer as a shipper. Let's say I'm a shipper and I'm a wholesale shipper and I want to ship products to Walmart, and I got 5 loads and they all have to get there relatively close to the same time. One truck can't do it, but if you got a trucking company that has 5 to 10, then you have a better chance of getting that contract with more assets in your fleet than you know, with one. So, but to answer your question, as a dispatcher, you go after the shipper under the umbrella of the MC of the carrier with whom you have the dispatch agreement with.
Right. So mostly, you know, to get away from the load boards, it's just establishing relationships with the brokers, though, is what you're saying.
The brokers and or shippers to get those contracts. The load boards are good from a beginner perspective to learn how to navigate, because you're going to always need load boards. You're just not going to need them all the time, but you're going to always need them. So to have that ability to know how to navigate them is good. It's great, because I don't know a person that really don't use a load board. They may not use it a lot. They may use it for backhaul, but they may have line haul with regular customers. And they built to that point, but I can almost guarantee that they didn't start that way. They had to have, you know, got on the load board, started looking for loads on the load boards, and then found it just came across. They must have developed some kind of pattern and say, okay, I found a good lane here with this broker, and then I found another lane coming back with this broker, and then I asked those brokers as my trucks continually and successfully ran those lanes for them. I say, well, how often do you guys run these lanes? And then the broker's going to be like, well, since you guys are running pretty well for us, we'll just reach out to you. We'll look to you, you know, before we post a load, we'll call you, because that's how some brokers do. Before they post their loads, they have a network of contracted carriers that they call. And they'll say, well, if these guys can't, and some may do it at the same time. They may reach out to their contracted carriers and call and still post the loads, because as a broker, I'm just trying to move the load and make the money. I don't care how it gets done. Now I've got my broker hat on now. I don't care how it gets done. I'm using 2 ways to do it. I'm reaching out to my already contacted carriers under my brokerage, and I'm posting on the load board. So I'm doubling my chances of getting a phone call for this specific load. And that's the mentality of the broker, right? So
makes sense.
Yeah, it does. You think about it, it makes sense. So as a dispatcher representing your carrier, so now let's put on the dispatcher hat. So what do we need to do? We need to, as we book loads and move loads for the brokers, then we need to say, hey, okay, let's talk to these brokers and say, okay, my carrier is running successfully in your lanes all the time. How about just, you know, we try to maintain that. I'll get that same carrier. I'll get him a backhaul back to that lane and we run it again. Say that lane is 500 miles. It takes a day and a half or a day or so to get to the other end of that, so you want to backhaul back to that lane and do it again. So what does that do? What does that mean? We're already set up with the brokerage because we ran a lane initially. So we don't have to go through that whole process of carrier package. All we got to do now is just get a rate confirmation for the next load. The only thing as a dispatcher that needs to be done is we need to worry about getting a backhaul back to that initial broker's lane. So that's the mentality of the dispatcher. That's how we need to plan ourselves, our carriers and route and stuff like that. So, but again, that comes in time. So in Dispatcher 101 for beginners, we start from the layman's term, but we also, deal with intermediate and things like this as far as routing and pre-planning and pre-routing and things like that, and thinking of better concepts from a dispatcher's perspective that's going to make our carrier, money. So. You follow that, Steve?
Absolutely.
Robert, let me unmute you real quick, Robert. Hey, Robert.
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
I just call you said your niece?
Yes. She's currently at the hospital right now. She just had a baby. So it may.
Oh, so she wants to get some training while she's recuperating.
Yes.
I just texted the website, but I need to let her know who I am. This is Charles. I got a number from Robert or something like that. So she wants to.
Yeah, get some training. See what's going on. I just mentioned that I don't know if you've seen that Facebook post that I posted about boss CEO.
Yeah, I saw that. I was going to ask you what was that about. Was that dispatching that you're doing as far as your company, or?
Yeah, I just got my entity papers. Had it processed and everything. Got my EIN numbers and everything.
Okay, so you're an official dispatching company, LLC company now.
Yes.
Okay, good. What we were talking about, I'm sure you just heard. Steve and I was discussing different, a little bit more advanced strategies as far as from a dispatcher's perspective. Gradually, you first want to learn how to navigate and use the load boards, but you gradually want to move away from that in the sense that you want to establish the relationships with the brokers in such a way that they'll be calling you saying, hey, is your truck available in that lane again, or is he back, or can I find him a backhaul? They'll even do something like that. Can I find him a backhaul to this lane? You may have a broker who needs a load moved in such a way that they'll be willing to help you find a backhaul. Now, they can't book it for you because that's double brokering, but they'll say they can help you find one, unless it's part of their loads, because, again, brokers get loads from their shippers. So if there happens to be a backhaul lane from one of their shippers, again, also brokers have more than one shipper. So maybe they may give you a good lane going out regularly for this one lane that they need you to get back to, and then maybe they have a backhaul lane from another shipper of theirs that can get you back to their money load. So if you can establish a relationship like that with brokers, and that comes in time. That's not going to happen overnight. I'll be realistic and honest with you. Anyone else who tells you that, and I'm not sure they're telling the truth. But realistically, and of course, we as intelligent people, I mean, we're beginner dispatchers, but we do have brains, so we know that that's not going to happen overnight. You may stumble upon something like that, but it has to happen gradually. You have to build to that point. And that's the whole point of building a business. It's going to take some blood, sweat, and tears. It's called sweat equity, right? You have to put in the time, learn the basics, establish the foundation, and then once you establish that foundation, now you think of strategies. Okay, how do I make this better, not only for myself, but for my carrier? And then when you do that, then you take that formula and you duplicate it with other carriers, so on and so forth with different carriers, either of the same equipment type or other equipment types. Namely, of course, the reefers, like Steve likes the reefers, the flatbeds, and the dry vans. Now, Steve, you like the reefers because they're easy to work with. Now, you got to deal with those control units, those TCUs, but
Well, I mean, it was all when I got into this. I mean, obviously, I was listening and I heard the three main types, and I think I've actually first started calling on flatbeds, and I just pulled up all three equipment types on Trucker's Path, and I think the first two that I called happened to be flatbeds. But as I was looking at it, it seems like for the most part, reefers are obviously they have the opportunity to make a little bit more than a dry van, but they can still be used as a dry van if if the carrier is willing to. And it just seemed like there was a lot more to a flatbed than
right.
the other two, straps and tarps and
right. You made a good point with the flatbed. So what Steve is talking about, I think everybody on here, with the exception of Angela maybe because she just started with us here, but understands, with different equipment types, there are different types of things that you need for those equipment types. Namely, with the flatbeds, you're going to need tarps, you're going to need straps. Some cases you're going to need chains and binders. Other cases you're going to need what's called dunnage. Dunnage are like wooden 2x4 blocks that goes up under. It keeps some of the freight, depending on what you're hauling, it keeps it elevated. Like if you're hauling steel and rebar and things like that, you got to keep it wedged in there so it won't slide while it's in transit. Pipes go on top of dunnage. Lumber, in some cases, go on top of dunnage, particularly if you have a wooden flatbed floor as opposed to aluminum. Well, I think that's the other way around. But those are some of the things that's involved with flatbeds. And then the older you are as a carrier with a flatbed, the harder it is for you to tarp because you have to actually throw that tarp over there, climb around, and then strap it down. Now, these younger guys, they probably can handle that. That's fine. But as you get older, you may want to consider dropping that flatbed trailer and getting either a dry van or a reefer. Now, with the reefer trailer, you just got to deal with maintaining that TCU, that temperature control unit. And also, too, the reefer, if you get a reefer, depending on the flooring, the base of the reefer trailer, you can use it as a dry van. You turn the reefer unit off, and say you can't find reefer loads. Well, you won't be stuck necessarily. You can just find cheaper loads. You're still making money. You won't make as much as you would with a reefer, but at least you make something. You can turn off the reefer unit, save on that fuel, and use it as a dry van trailer for your load. So you get a kind of a 2-for-1 with the reefer trailer if you are owner operator with a reefer trailer. Then with the dry van trailer, you just a dry van. Now you have dry vans, you have vented vans that can put in certain types of freight that can. You can keep vented van freight kind of cool too because air is flowing through, but the reefer one, you have an advantage because you can use it as a cooling as well as a dry hauling trailer. So, and then that's what Steve was referring to. So that's probably why he decided to focus. Right now he's focusing on getting carriers whose equipment type are in the reefer category because, like he said earlier, he didn't want to send his flatbed person, if he had a flatbed carrier, he didn't want to send them to a area where they didn't have a certain accessory equipment that's needed for that trailer, like flatbed trailer. Like maybe he had no tarps and he had to go to a place that required tarps. Maybe he had straps and he had to go to a place that required chains and binders. So with a flatbed, it seems like a flatbed carrier may need to have everything in their tool shed in that flatbed in order to haul successfully. If one thing's missing, you take a chance of moving the load.
I also think it's. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I also think for me, it was just good to, be able to talk to different drivers across the country and figure out, what rates, they were trying to get. And, kind of what their situation was like, focusing on, one, little subset of the three, main equipment types. I mean, so now I feel pretty confident when, when I talk to, when I cold call a reefer, I'm like, all right, so, you're over here, so you're, what's it take to move your truck? Okay, it's probably going to be in this, this range, and I know the, his issues. So, but I'm definitely going to get, into vans and flatbeds eventually, but that's just kind of my thought process on that.
Yeah, get that experience. I mean, and plus, as you're calling more, your confidence is growing, and your diction, and as you communicate with the carriers, is growing now, because now you're starting to understand, actually what it is that's going to take to get them to move their truck, because you're asking those questions across the different equipment types. Someone asked a question. Well, Angela says she's been cold calling for a week. It took me 90 days, Angela, just as a motivation to you. It took me 90 days to get my first carrier. So a lot of you guys are actually doing better than I am when I first started a couple years back. Steve got his in no time. And then Robert just asked what's some of the hot spots now. It seems like the freight is shifting across the country as far as the hot spots for different equipment types. Like, I was just listening to a buddy of mine, he's a friend on Facebook, Steve Mill. He was part of Shaggy's consulting thing. He has his own thing in Texas. Texas Trucker. He was saying that he's not hauling anything west of Texas I think it was for flatbeds. And he's saying he's staying from Weatherford, Texas, to the Midwest. Is pretty much, he's not going to the Northeast or the East Coast, but I guess the Midwest and the Texas area. So let me bring up the map to give you an idea of what he's referring to. So I just typed in a question here. Let me bring up a map here. So, and then also too, back to Steve, when you're talking to those guys and asking them how much it is to move their truck and their average cents per mile, I'm assuming that you are also referring to remember that DAT trend lines that I showed you last training with the different cents per mile for the different equipment types and things like that. So if you could, whatever answer they give you for whatever equipment type, you can compare that against the national averages for the cents per mile for that equipment type, and that'll kind of put you in the ballpark of what those guys are expecting, whether they're either telling you a lie or they're giving you a glorified, I don't want to say lie, but more of an exaggerated quote when you ask them for a cents per mile. You compare it against the DATS average, and then you can say, okay, if that person falls within that DATS national average, which is pretty close to what's really going on out here, then you can say that they're pretty much, they know what they're talking about. Now, if they are way above that, then you can say, okay, this guy's trying to pull my chain. So this map here, so he's in Texas. I think he's western Texas. So he doesn't want to go, basically he doesn't want to go west of the Rockies. This is the Rocky Mountains, so he don't want to go west of the Rocky Mountains as far as freight. Getting in is hard. Getting out, you can get some freight depending on the equipment type. Like reefers, you can come out of California pretty good with a reefer. But going in with flatbeds and coming out with flatbeds as well as dry vans is a challenge, according to Steven. And then he doesn't want to go as far as the Midwest, which is probably west of the Appalachian Mountains right here. These are the Appalachian Mountains, like in the West Virginia area. So I guess between the two mountains basically is where the freight, and probably south of like the north is like North Dakota and stuff like that. So basically this little central United States area is probably where the freight is. There is freight going into California for all, I mean not California, I'm sorry, going into Florida for all three equipment types, but the problem is getting out. Again, going into Florida is like checking into remember that Roach Motel, you can check in but you can't check out? So you can get into Florida in most cases, but it's a challenge getting out. Some guys, they don't go in too far into Florida. That way they deadhead out of Florida, like to somewhere in Georgia or Alabama would be easier on their fuel costs and things like that. But if you're going all the way down to like Miami, Fort Lauderdale, Little Havana, Little Hialeah, all those places down there, then you got to drive some 500 or 600 miles to get out of there. And if you're doing that deadhead, you just pretty much just pay for your fuel and you make any money. So. Oh. Hello. Let's see. Somebody just spoke. Somebody just tuned in. Hey, Rob, RG. Oh, Brother Wash is here. Let me ask you a question, by the way. Thanks, Steve, for your input. I'll keep you unmuted. Brother Wash.
Yes, sir.
How are you, sir?
Good. How are you today?
I'm okay. I just got off the phone with LaWanna. She's doing her stuff with Power Only. How are you? How are you doing with the Power Only?
Power Only is going smooth. It's business as usual.
Okay, so I just got a better definition of loadouts and tollways in the Power Only. I guess the loadouts are the trailers that just got something going on with them, and they just need to be. I'm sorry, the tollways. The trailers just need to be taken somewhere. The loadouts are the ones you can take the trailer, use it for whatever you want to, and then get it back to where it needs to get to. Am I correct in that or no?
Correct. Yes, sir.
Okay. And then you are moving loads and booking loads with your Power Only. Are you doing anything else besides Power Only?
I specialize in Power Only, but no, we do all different vehicles. We do removable gooseneck, regular flatbeds. We're using that for the government freight sometimes. We're working with drive-in, reefer, and everything. We do just a little bit of hot shot work.
Okay. All right. Yeah, because I haven't heard from you in a while. Now, do you still have your call center environment as well, or?
Absolutely, yes, sir.
Okay, so you're doing. No wonder I haven't heard from you. That's a good thing. If I don't hear from somebody, that means that they're doing well. not to say that the people that are on the training are not doing well. I'm just saying that it's just been a while since we've communicated.
Yes,
and,
sir.
Are you stateside or are you international?
I'm out of the country right now.
Okay. All right. Well, I need to hook up with you when you come stateside. Now, when you come stateside, when you first hit the states, do you hit like Dulles or over on the East Coast, or you fly straight into Texas?
A lot of times I go like by straight to Houston or Manila to Houston.
Okay, so you couldn't, yeah. See, now if you would have came in Dulles or Norfolk International, I would have met with you. We'd have sat down and talked. So, but it's fine. We'll meet up.
Okay, make sure we meet up.
Yep. All right. Let me see. I had someone ask me a question earlier. I think it was Angela. Well, let me do this because it's been a long day for me. I'm really tired, but I wanted to do some Q&A a little bit to see if anyone had some Q&A or had a question about a load or some strategies. So I will ask that. Let's see. Angela just asked. Robert said, "What's up, Wash?" I'm checking the chat now, see if any questions pop up before Are there more local loads for power only than long haul? Wash, maybe you could answer this question.
The question was again, are there more local loads for power only than long haul? No, definitely not. It's balanced. No, you have your long hauls for power only as well.
So depending on what state you are, depending on the prevalence of those equipment types, will determine. Yeah. So we can go to a load board and look at a load for an example. Put in a origin and destination, and put in all the equipment types that's related to the question, power only, drive-in, flatbeds, and then see what comes up, and then do a ratio comparison of, what's the ratio of power onlys against drive-ins or against reefers or against flatbeds. You can do that. You can do that yourself. Actually, you can just go make up a dummy origin and destination. As a matter of fact, let's do that. Let's do that now. I show you better than I can tell you, right? So Uh, Matter of fact, let's go through the website. Load boards, and let's log in. And let's select. And by the way, 123 load board is down, but the person that I got the login from, what I'm going to do is probably get a login myself and then just share it with you guys within the next week or so. And let's see what's going on with, because people have been saying about that. Now, this DAT Truckers Edge is for everyone who was signed on to the platform prior to becoming subscription-based members. I've in addition to this one, I've sent another one out for those who are subscription-based members, a separate DAT Truckers Edge. So, Steve, did you receive that email?
Hey, yeah, so I have the DAT, and then you were talking on Sunday that you were going to get one for truckstop.com too. But I've been using the DAT.
Yeah, and I thought I put an email this morning for DAT and Truckers Edge, and I sent an email out from my Exodus Logistics Yahoo account, and I put in DAT and Truckstop's logins into that email. Did you receive that one this morning?
Nope.
Okay. Angela said she received it. So if you check, so I sent it out to it was like about 4 or 5 of you guys who are just subscription based. So if you check your spam folder, go from there.
Yeah, it went to my spam.
Okay, it went to your spam. So this is only for right now. The second DAT Truckers Edge login and the Internet Truck Stop is only for those members, Robert, who are enrolled in Dispatcher 101, but are also subscription based members who are paying the $39.99 a month, and I'm considering lowering that, as a matter of fact, to like $29.99. I'm going to make that.
They get prorated.
Yeah.
My negotiation techniques. What are you going to do? Give me something.
Right, and that's what you're doing now. So I feel like a carrier now. I'm sweating like a carrier. Well, I can use your dispatching services. So yeah, because my only purpose is to give you guys. I'm not trying to really make money like that with you guys. I want to give you the resources so you can be successful. And hopefully you guys can see that, because if you notice, there are other. And I don't want to. And the one thing I don't do a lot of, I don't like mentioning other people and talking about other people's platforms and what they're doing. But there are some platforms out there who are charging like crazy prices to train beginning dispatchers or how to dispatch, and they're not even offering load boards. Number one, and then what they're training, I'm pretty much doing the same exact thing, or if not more, but I can say at least the same level of instruction, if not more, for a fraction of what's being charged. So that's probably one of the reasons of which I haven't shared with you guys, but I've been getting a lot of hate emails. But that's something that you guys really don't need to know. But I just figured that, but they're just basically saying something similar of what Calvin was going through with RBVS when he was giving people a lot of information for low pricing. When you have people out there who are doing it, and this is their livelihood, and you're seeing people navigating from their space into yours because you're offering the same thing but for a fraction of the cost, and you're going to get some drawback and some friction. So, it is what it is.
For what it's worth, from my opinion, you know, you put most of your content up on YouTube. That's why I signed up with you. You know, I learned a whole lot from, you know, what you put on YouTube, which you weren't making any money on. So I appreciate it.
No. Now there is a YouTube. Eventually, when you there is something with YouTube where if you get a certain number of subscribers, then they offer to pay you a certain amount. I haven't reached that yet, and that's not the point. But
the bottom line is you could have just, you know, been posting, you know, here's how to sign up videos and, you know, giving minimal content. But, you know, I could have signed up, you know, my carriers just from what you put up there. I mean, you put documents up there. You know, I signed up because I'm an honest person, and, you know, and I wanted some ongoing training. But, you know, you put a lot of stuff out there for someone who was smart enough and who wanted to get their business started to get going. So
right,
you know.
Right. And I admit I'm learning this as much as you guys too. So as I deal with trucking companies and learn the advanced stuff, I'm going to trickle that down like in a spoon feeding mechanism or way of doing it to the beginner dispatcher. I don't want to give people who are just coming in to be in dispatchers so much information that's going to overwhelm them. So I'll keep a lot of that advanced stuff kind of bottle cap until we feel that we're at a point where we're ready for that. Like this is Dispatcher 101 training for beginners. I'm putting together a Dispatcher 102, kind of an intermediate, like if you guys, okay, like you, for instance, Steve, you know, it's like, okay, I got it. I got the basics. I know what an equipment type is. I know how to find a load. I know how to talk to a broker, book a load. So now 102 is like, okay, let's think of some strategies to keep our carriers maintained, running. Let's build our business by adding more carriers to it. Let's slowly progress off the load boards and deal with direct customers. So we won't have to deal with brokers unless we need a backhaul. Also, let's even work toward, as a dispatcher, like what LaWanda's doing, hiring people under your company and getting credit built up where you can purchase your own truck and then hire a company driver or an owner-operator to get your authority, purchase your own truck, and then hire an owner-operator to roll under your authority and make money. That money is your money outside of what you're paying that owner-operator. So, I mean, it's a business, right? So if you got now you have a dispatching company and a trucking company. So you're dispatching for your own trucking company. See, so now we're getting into that realm, but it has to first start with the basics. See, I'm dispatching. Let's see what we got. We got 20 flatbeds and 7 box trucks, the LTL freight with the IKEA contract for the company that I'm working with, my buddy, and I'm the only dispatcher over there. So, and I'm there every day. So it's like doing that. So I see a lot of stuff. So as I decide, okay, some of the stuff is good for the training for the platform, I'll give it to you guys because I know you will benefit from it. You know, basics dispatching. As I come across different, you know, because we get a lot of FMCSA stuff coming in about regulations and stuff like that, and I need to share that with you guys. That way, when you guys come to that point, you already have the information. You already, oh, hey, Charles talked about that. So that's what I like to do. To put you guys on to what's called the learning curve. So, you know, when you get to that point, it won't be a surprise to you. You already know it. So, let's see, RG says, so those of us who enrolled pre-August aren't grandfathered into those passwords. No. You're grandfathered into the passwords for the load boards that were part of the 10 load boards, RG, that were in the initial sign up. But I've since added 2 logins. There's still logins. Like the one that login is still Trucker's Edge. Is this a different login for the subscription-based members as opposed to those who were pre-August 1st? The Internet Truck Stop, I just added that in for the subscription-based members because the benefit of that is the subscription-based members, they're getting a return on their investment. They're paying a subscription to maintain access to that better-paying load board. And it's not to say that the load boards that you have are not good load boards. It's just that these are a little bit, they're the top two as far as considered load boards: Internet Truck Stop and DAT Truckers Edge. Now, you guys have a DAT Truckers Edge who are pre-August 1st members. I think it's my, speaking of which, I was just in there. This one, okay, this is one here. This is the one that is, right, this is DAT Truckers Edge. Now, through the website, is it the one that, I want to make sure it's not the right one. I'm giving the same one to the ones that are, be honest with you, there we go, log out. But to answer your question, yeah, that's RG. The subscription-based members have 2 logins, one for DAT Truckers Edge, one for Internet Truck Stop, and then you guys have the 10. You have the, all the ones that you saw in there, and then and I think this DAT Truckers Edge you have. This was a login from one of my carriers. So this is the one that you guys may have. And see, for some reason, I need to talk to Joanne and see if she can change that, because I need either that or I'll get another DAT Truckers Edge login for the pre-August 1st members. So, because I want to make sure everyone has access. And hopefully the one that I've given to the subscription-based members, because that's the one I just recently got, is not kicking anyone out, because I need to make sure if that's the case, then that means that DAT is only doing it that way, and we have to figure out another way of handling that. So Steve or Angela, if you can log in to DAT Truckers Edge and see if it does a kick out of me, that'll be an indicator for me moving forward of what I need to do.
Yep. I just hit log in anyway.
Yeah, log in anyway. So you're logged in?
Yep.
And I'm logged in. Okay.
But it'll, if you give it a minute, it'll probably knock you out.
Okay, so I need to figure out why. So I need to call that. So what they're probably with that, I think what it is it may be a one user license. And as a business, they're trying to make money too, so they're going to probably say, well, you just need to, for each person, you need a license. So if I have to now, I have to consider different user licenses for one login. How many logins can you have for, or how many licenses can you have for one login? Is it just one user login for one license, or I need to ask them that?
It hasn't logged you out yet, so maybe Angela could log in too and see if one of us gets kicked out, because maybe it'll allow 2. Because I'm still in, you're still in, so.
Yeah, Angela said I just log in, but it would knock you out. So we will see.
Yeah,
so
have her log in anyway.
Yeah, log in go ahead and do log in anyway, Angela, like Steve just suggested. And while you're doing that, I'm going to navigate like I was going to do for that example, where we're going to look at power onlys, drive-ins, flatbeds, and reefers to compare for a specific area, to compare the and this one you hit specific. So let's just say for me, I'm in Norfolk, Virginia area, and let's go to somewhere in the Midwest. Let's go to Columbus, Ohio, because that's one of our IKEA. That's one of our hubs that we get our net truck in. So let's do that, and let's see if we can choose different equipment types, flatbeds. Okay, so it just did something. Because I was in the middle of typing something in. So Angela, you're in, and Steve, you're in, right?
Yep.
And And so now that gives, I have a homework assignment now with that trucker's edge. So flatbeds, power onlys, reefers, and vans. So we're just doing some navigating on the load board. For those of you who are beginners, who are getting a grasp of what I'm doing, I'm in a specific load board. In this case, it's called DAT. DAT stands for Dial a Truck. The version of it is called Trucker's Edge, which is the carrier level version. You have DAT Pro and you have DAT Power. DAT Power is the broker level. Different load boards have different features that they do. They can either search for trucks or post trucks. They can search for loads and post loads. The carrier version or edition of the load boards are able to only post their trucks and search for loads. That's the only reason. That's the only thing they should do as a carrier. You shouldn't have to post loads because you're not a broker. You should only be, as a carrier or as a dispatcher moving loads for your carrier, you should only have a load board that gives you the ability to post your truck is having a load so brokers can call you if you're in their lane or search a load. So we have here, this results 448 total results, 13 exact of the equipment types that we selected, which was right here, the trucks, T for truck, F power flatbeds, PO power only, R reefer, and V van or dry vans. And we got our origin, O for origin, D for destination. We chose the cities within the 150-mile deadheads. We chose both full and partial loads, and available for Friday, which is the 26th. A stands for available. Okay, just giving you a quick navigation of that. What I normally do when I'm in that Trucker's Edge, I usually click the offer to put everything in order from highest paying load to lowest paying load. So it does it there. And then I see the equipment types, a lot of vans, reefers, power onlys. So yeah. Okay, so now here, we just saw here. So you've been logged out because you or someone else just logged in on another device. So who was that? Was that Angela?
I just closed mine, which is weird.
Okay. All right.
It logged you out as soon as I closed mine.
Ah, okay. So maybe what I'll do, I will give, because since the account is in Exodus name, I'll give them a call and log in anyway. I'll give them a call and inquire about how many users can log into that. Now I know with that power, because when I was under the brokerage and the broker that I used, I had a login for their load board at the time. This is a large broker, one of the largest in the country, out in California. They used that power, and they only had a single user login. So when you logged into it, if someone else was logged in, it kicked them out the moment you logged in. So I'm not sure if this is a across the board thing with that across their different versions, but I'll give them a call. I'll keep you guys updated and find out. Otherwise, we'll just have to see how we can work around that. Thank God for the other load boards. Essentially, they all have the same. Go ahead.
Angela just got kicked out as soon as, so I logged back in and then closed out. And as soon as I closed out, she says she got kicked out. So I wonder if we were all to keep, so Charles, close out of yours. Let's see if we can all log in and nobody log out and see if it'll let us all stay in.
So I see where you're going with this. So as long as we don't log out, everybody can log in and use it. So the moment one person logged out, it kicks, I guess, the next person out who logged in the earliest or something like that. So
log in anyway.
So it's kind of a first in, last out kind of thing.
Right. So I'm in, you're in. Angela, are you in? So we can all get in.
Okay, so let me navigate that search that I did before. While you guys are still logged in, no one logs out. So it still has my search up as I had it before. It didn't refresh it, so I can just hit search again. So while you guys are logged in, whether you're navigating it or not, you're still logged in, right? So I'm going to put it in order of highest to lowest, and then just play around with it a little bit so we can see the different Suffolk Suntech. I was just at this company in Suffolk, Virginia. Okay. So here. So now we got power only 2400. Now this is a load out or towaway. Oh, this is a heavy load though, 89,000 pounds, 48 footer. You're pulling. Ouch. Okay. So now let's say I found what I needed and then I log out. So if I log out, you guys tell me what happens on your end. So I'm going to log out. And I'm completely out. Like I'm not even on a load board at all. I'm just on the website and looking. So okay, so I'm out. So is anyone else out?
I'm still in that.
You still in? Angela? Let me unmute her, by the way, because I don't know if she's able to unmute herself. Angela, I unmuted you, Angela.
All right, I'm still in.
Okay, so that's interesting. So I was in navigating, and then once one of you guys logged out, it kicked me out. But then we all logged back in. I was in navigating again, and then I logged out, and you guys are still in. So it's kind of a weird thing. I'm still going to call them, because I don't know if that's a bug in their software or if that's a feature of their login, a security feature of their login. The same case with now Truck Stop. I know for a fact we can log in and out all day. It's just the number of users. Like I may only be able to have like 10 to 20 users per logins per one, username and password, and then I have to get another one as we do that. But
so I wonder if it's the first person to log in. So I just logged out of that. Let's see if Angela gets knocked out.
Gets knocked out, right? So and then with Internet Truck Stop, I think. I know for a fact how Internet Truck Stop works. It's a weird thing there.
So far, I'm still in.
Okay, well.
Maybe she was the first one to log in. Who knows?
Right. So that's kind of a workaround thing. Now, I guess if we get kicked out, the thing is to just log right back in and do log in anyway until I find out exactly what that Trucker's Edge is. As far as Internet Truck Stop, this is anyone. You guys can log in and we can just back and forth. I know that. So, and actually, this is a easier navigating load board than that Trucker's Edge. Internet Truck Stop is like number one. That Trucker's Edge is number two. I may upgrade to Pro. I just got the regular Internet Truck Stop. So, Angela, how are you? Are you having any questions? I know you said you were calling carriers for a week now. How's your pitch going, or are you comfortable in conversating when you do call?
Yes, I feel more confident in my pitch. I only have one carrier who signed the dispatcher agreement with me. Now, others I've called and they will either say they weren't interested or that they have a dispatch company. With those that already have a dispatch company, I still, offer my services as an option for them and ask, can I email my information to them and, some carriers have been receptive to that, so I will still email my information just in case they need another resource.
Right, and I'm glad you said that, because if you talk to someone, yeah, oh yeah, we got the dispatcher coming, we're good. I said, well then, like you just said, well, if you get in a situation where your dispatch can't seem to find you anything, can I leave you my information to reach out to me as another option, you know? And then, I mean, the worst they can say is no, but they'll say yeah, because the main thing with them is making money. They want that load. They want to get a load. So if their dispatching team or person cannot find them a load and they have another option to turn to, then they'll turn to that option. And they'll remember you, too, for that that persistence. So.
But I think one thing, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I think one thing that's kind of like slowing me down with acquiring carriers is my website is not up yet, so I'm just emailing them like a Word or a PDF copy of the dispatcher agreement. And I know probably some of the carriers don't have time to print, fax, you know, because I know a lot of people are using digital signatures right now. My website's not up. So I'm thinking that's one drawback for me in trying to get carriers.
Do you have a like a e-signature type of platform that you use, like DocuSign or PDF Filler, something like that?
Not yet. I'm trying to get it set up through my website, and that's
it doesn't necessarily have to be set up through the website. You can attach.
Okay.
You can attach the You can get a DocuSign. Let's say DocuSign, for example. You can get a DocuSign account. Upload the dispatch agreement and profile in there, edit those fields that you want them to be able to edit into or type into, save that document, and then when you talk to dispatchers who express an interest in wanting you for their service, for their dispatcher, you attach that to the email, send it to them. They open it up in their phone or tablet, and they're able to fill that form out right there, hit submit, and it'll send them a copy and you'll copy it in an email form. Now, if you're waiting to do that in a website, then you're doing yourself a disservice. You can still send the e-signable or e-sign type of documents in an email. So.
Okay, I didn't know that. Thank you. It's called DocuSign.
Well, there's several out there. DocuSign is one of the popular ones. And then you have Adobe. Adobe is one. You have PDF Filler is another one. I think DocuSign is number one. Adobe, PDF Filler. There's several out there, but DocuSign is the popular one. It's I don't want to say it's pricey, but it's not cheap. Okay. I have an app through the website that I use. It's, I forget the name of the app, but it's part of the Wix. I'm on the Wix platform for the website. So I created an online form, and all the under carrier services, you know, the dispatch agreement and I think Steve has one as well. We have online forms where it fills it out, and then once the carrier sends the hit submit, it'll send an email notification to the email that you set up the account with. Yes, Steve says the website forms are the best, and then he said he started with PDF Filler too. So until you get a website form designed, and you still want to get those carriers, you know, while you're waiting for your website to be fully up and functional how you want it, still send out some kind of e-signature format, you know, and DocuSign, PDF Filler, I think Adobe has one, and there are some others. You would probably want to research like e-signature forms or e-signature, e-signature forms, and then go from there. As a matter of fact, you know, e-signature software. So you have like this DocuSign, and then top 10 list of e-signature software, top 10 list. So let's look at that and see what the top 10 are.
Okay.
And then with each of the top 10, so you just do the research. Each of the top 10, you just look and see what features they offer, and then you can visit their website and then compare it to what you need for your for your. Oh yeah, Sign Now. That's the one I was thinking of. Sign Now is a good one. Of course, DocuSign is in here. Now I haven't heard of these others, and then you just ask, and then these are some of the check marks of the features that they have for them. You know, mobile. They all have the ability to have mobile signatures. Well, some of them do. Gatekeeper does not. And then so you figure out, do you want all these features in a platform that you choose for your carriers for DocuSign? So when you send it to them in an email, you at least want a mobile signature, because most carriers are going to open their emails up there on their phones, right? So you at least want this feature right here, this mobile signature feature, right? Now I don't know if you want multi-party signing. I don't know if you even need that. Document analytics. You don't need all this big boy stuff. You only need the basics. You only need them to be able to sign it and send it back to you, right? So the other ones are just add-ons. They're just added pluses. As long as they have that mobile signature feature for you, then, and which DocuSign has, and Sign Now has. And I'm surprised PDF Filler is not in here. It may be in number 11. It may not be in the top 10. But, you know, and then back to this. And see, e-signature, Adobe has one. See, I mentioned Adobe. You got free electronic signatures. Never print, sign, or scan. I don't know what this free one is. It's called, I think it's HelloSign. Yeah, HelloSign. So yeah, so do the research. Just do some research on it while you're. And HelloSign is part of the Dropbox platform. You know, Dropbox is the online cloud-based formats. You have Google Docs and all this other stuff, Dropbox and things like that. So everybody's getting into this cloud-based technology. So as us dispatchers, we may as well keep up with them too. So.
Okay.
So yeah, that's a consideration. So while you're getting, I don't know who's designing your website.
Little homie.
Okay, little homie around the corner.
Yeah.
Okay.
From last week.
Okay, but I don't know what he's using. Mine is on the Wix platform. I'm satisfied with Wix.com.
Okay.
I'm the owner. All this content you see, everything you see on the website, I put it there. Over time. As far as all the links, all the pictures, the graphics, all the functionality, all the content, everything. So
okay.
And Wix is more. It's a modular kind of website. It's point and click, and you can basically just add apps to it and add content to it as you go, and you can edit it as you go. So I learned a lot about. I mean, I might as well be a web designer because I learned so much about it. So. But all the logos, everything, I mean, I put it in there. But back to the online form, once you get to this point, like Steve and I are, once you get to this point, and whoever else, I'm not sure if anybody else who's listening on this or who's tuned in tonight as online, but it's because all they have to do is you can just send them a link to the two, or to the one area. I can send them a link to either carrier services or one link, or I can send them two links, one for dispatcher agreement and one carrier profile to that area, and they just click the link and it opens it up directly to the website to that form. And then it goes, like here, it's going to carrier profile. So all I got to do now is just copy that link and just paste it, right, or send it to them in an email like I'm doing right here in the chat. I send that link to carrier profile. All you do is click that link. Like I'm clicking it now, it's going to open up another window.
Okay.
And me, it's open up Internet Explorer. I hate Internet Explorer. It's terrible. But right here, carrier profile. So, again, what's the purpose of carrier profile?
Hold on, you kind of like froze a little bit.
What's the purpose of the carrier profile? Pop quiz.
Oh, to get the specifications of the carrier's truck. What is their minimum CPM? What's the maximum weight capacity?
Right. So now I'm glad you said that. So when you create your form, you put that verbiage like I did now. See, and look at it. It's one page. They sign it, right? Blah blah blah. Hit submit. I'm gonna clear the signature, but this is where they sign it, blah, blah, blah. And it's just one page. Let me clear that again. But look how easy the questions are. Equipment type. And then under that, what type of equipment do you have? You answer that question. Let's say 53-foot drive-in. What weight limitations? What is the most weight on your trailer are you willing to haul? That's an easy question. Let's say 40,000 pounds because they want to save on fuel costs. They don't want to pay too much in fuel burning. The more weight you have on your truck, the more you're going to burn in fuel because you're weighing down everything, so it's going to take more fuel to burn to haul that. So how much money do you need to move your truck? Well, what does that mean? Well, look under here. What is the least cents per mile are you willing to accept per load? It can't get no basic than that, right? Basically, what's the lowest you'll take on the load per mile? $2. I can't make no less than $2 a mile. That's what a carrier. If I'm a carrier, that's what I'm thinking. Other information. What areas of the country do you try to avoid? You can say tolls, like East Coast tolls, or you can say mountains, right? Because you don't want the wear and tear on the truck. Going up slopes, you got upgrades and downgrades, 5%, 7%, 9%. I done seen so many upgrades, climbing, going down mountains, especially in the Rockies or in the Appalachian Mountains. Those escape ramps, when you turn in those corners, your brakes give out. You can hit them escape ramps, go up that sand ramp or that gravel ramp, and keep from crashing the truck, killing people, all that stuff. So, special instructions. Is there anything else you want your dispatcher to know? Maybe you want weekends off. This one said weekends off and competent enough to keep me running. And then you sign it, So clear all that out. So, and then you hit submit, and then the way the form is set up on the back side of the website is you have an email associated with each form. It's usually the same email because you want the dispatch agreement and the profile sent to the same email. So under email notification, when you're designing the form, it'll say what email do you want a notification sent to once this form is complete. I put the Exodus email. Steve may have put his dispatching business email. Whatever email that is, whenever a person goes to your site and fill it out, they're going to hit submit. It's going to send the email notification, right? Let me prove that to you. I just did this, and this is just a carrier profile. I'll go ahead and hit submit if it lets me. I must have hit dispatch agreement. Anyway, let's go back to profile. Fill the information in, signed it, submit. Thank you for your response. Thank you. Your response has been sent. So let me log in and see the turnaround time for that. It should have been instant. It may take a few seconds to refresh depending on your internet speed and things of that nature. I think I have 100 up, 100 down as far as upload and download speeds, 100 megs up, 100 megs down. I'm working with Verizon. You guys may be working with another email service provider or internet service provider, I'm sorry. So there it is, right there. Notifier, Epic. That's what it is. And Wix.com is Epic Form Builder. So that's in the back as an app that's a part of the Wix platform. It's called Epic Form Builder. It's one of many apps that deals with online forms. But this is what I just filled out. So there's my carrier profile sent back to me by my carrier. This is just an example, but I'm just saying. There it is. And this is the carrier profile. The same holds true for the dispatcher agreement. If you fill the dispatcher agreement out, they'll send it back. So like Steve was saying, it's best, the online form is best because it saves time and it's convenient. You just send them a link. They go ahead and open the link up on their phone and tablet. They can be at a loading dock waiting to get loaded or unloaded, whether they're at a shipper or a receiver. They could be doing their reset, watching TV, and or on not even watching TV, but in their sleeper berth, looking for loads. And then they happen to get a phone call from you. Carriers like to talk, so you guys start a conversation, and then you convince them, let me send you a link. Well, yeah, go ahead and send it to me. I'm sitting in my bed right now in the sleeper berth. I'll go ahead and look at it. And you send them a link to a website. They fill it out real quick, hit submit. They may call you back and say, man, hey, did you get that? Yeah, let me check my email. Yeah, I got it. It's right here. So now you're ready to go. So now you got a dispatch agreement and a profile. So now your next step is, of course, is to review that profile, and then as you cater your load search for them to that profile, now you start looking for loads, and then of course you find them and say, hey man, are I guess you're under load because when I called you, you were in your sleeper berth. You must be doing your reset. He said, yeah, I'm at a truck stop right now, ready to get offloaded in the morning. I'm just doing my reset because they didn't let me dock on their loading dock. I had to be off their property. There's cases like that where you can't carriers, like I couldn't, when I was driving, I couldn't dock at the receiver. I had to be off their site, so we had to go to a truck stop and just sleep. And then in that morning, like 5 a.m. or whatever the time was, we drove over there and just checked in with the gate at the security gate. Okay, go to door 2, wait to get unloaded. So that could be the case with certain carriers. They're under load, they're waiting to get offloaded. They fill out the form. Now you ask them, hey, okay, so what time are you going to be empty? What they tell you is you base that off what they tell you, and then you start finding loads there. I'll be empty about 9 a.m. I'm here at 5. It's going to take them about 3 or 4 hours to offload me with all this nonsense. Depending on the DC, the distribution center, where they're unloading, the point is you get the information from your carrier when they're going to be empty so you can start finding loads for them within a reasonable amount of time. You have to factor in the time of day they're going to be empty against the time that load is available and the time you can book that load, and the amount of time that carrier can deadhead depending on how far they are from that load. So all that has to be taken into consideration, you know, when you're booking loads. The time of day, pickup times, whether shippers and receivers, when they close, unless they're a 24/7 shipper and receiver, then you could eliminate that as an obstacle. So all that is factored in. All right? I know that's a lot of information.
No, it's very helpful.
I'm glad it's recorded, though, because then it can be played back over and over and over again. But as a dispatcher, this is realistically that you have to look for. You just can't say, okay, I'm going to find you a load. Okay, well, how is that done? What is it exactly do I do? Step by step by step. And that's what I want to, based off of my experience and how I do it, I want to pass that on to you. So, a scenario is, okay, I'm a carrier. Let's use you as an example, Angela. You're the dispatcher. I just sent you just sent me an online link to your dispatch agreement profile. I sent it back to you. I'm currently under load. I was sitting in my sleeper berth, you know, looking on load boards, just seeing if I could find something because my dispatcher, he's just not finding anything that I want. So I just happened to get a phone call from him. We conversated. I decided, okay, I'll say, okay, just send me the link. I'll take a look at that when I get time. But the moment I get that link, I'm going to go ahead and look at it because I was looking for a load anyway, right? So I look at it, go ahead and send it. You get an email notification with the carrier, with the dispatch agreement and carrier profile. So now the next thing you should do, because you just got off the phone with me, and this is a strategy, you should call me right back and say, hey, man, I just got a notification from you, Charles. When are you going to be empty on that load that you're currently under? Strike up that conversation there. I'll be empty about 9 a.m. So ding, 9 a.m. You got a profile, you got the agreement, that's fine. You put that in your filing system for that carrier. Whatever the carrier's company name is or his name, you put in that, and equipment type, you put it in your filing system. But you have the profile, you have the details of how they want to run. He or she just told you they're going to be empty at a certain time. So now you have, depending on how you find the load for that person, for that equipment type, for those requirements, the time that broker wants that load picked up and the amount of time that your carrier needs to deadhead from where they currently are to where they need to get to. Now remember too, if you got a deadhead that's 100 miles or less, then you're okay because that gives them about 2 hours. So say I get empty at 9 o'clock, the broker has a load that we're trying to book that picks up no later than 12. So if I'm empty on time like I said I would be, most cases that's not true. He's just giving you an estimate. I'm going to be honest with you. When a carrier tells you I'll be empty at 9 o'clock, never, ever, ever believe them because it's never the case. Never. They may be empty at 9:30, 10 o'clock. So any time that they tell you, add an hour to it. At least. At least. And I'm just telling you this from experience, either doing it myself or dealing with carriers. That's all I'm saying. Now, I could be wrong, but it's never failed me. So if a carrier says I'm going to be empty at 9 o'clock, you say, okay. So you look for a load like 10 o'clock or better. So if you find something that picks up at noon, you're safe because you're well past that 9 o'clock being empty, even at 10 o'clock. And it gives you, say it's 10 o'clock, it still gives you that 2-hour gap to deadhead if you need to get to the area that you need to pick that load up for him that you're trying to book. So you see where I'm coming in now with the strategy as far as finding loads and as far as factoring in what you need to factor in order to pick up that next load on time. You don't want to book a load that's going to overlap. So if your carrier is under load now that you got under agreement, even if you have a carrier and you're moving loads to them, you don't want to overlap loads because what overlap means is that you booked a load, your carrier is currently under load, and you booked their next load that's going to overlap the time that you're going to be able to pick it up because he's still being empty from the current load. He's never going to make that load on time, that pickup on time for the next load. So you have to be mindful of times are very important in booking loads with carriers. So, any questions about that?
No.
No? Okay. So now let's say for example I get that carrier to their next load. Okay, Steve just asked the question, what's the average? Steve said, what's the average, if I can scroll down, what's the average miles a day or miles a truck should run a day? I would say 600 to 650. You get 14, you have to factor in speed limits too. Some interstates, depending on where they're driving, like if they're on the major interstates like I-81, I-80, I-75, I-95, then your speed limits are like 70 miles an hour. Some trucks are calibrated to go no faster than 65 miles an hour. If you have an older truck, then you may be able to go faster. The newer trucks, because of the ELDs and the speed calibrations, they may not be able to go but 65 miles an hour. But let's say you go 70 miles an hour on those major interstates. So if you go 75 miles an hour and you just stand on those major interstates all the way through, a straight shot, it depends on the territory, right, Steve? So you get 24 hours in a day. You get to drive 14 hours as a carrier with 10-hour resets a day. So that's 14 and 10 is 24. Now, within that 14 hours, you are allowed to drive 11 hours straight. Okay? So if you can drive 11 hours straight at 70 miles an hour, that's 770 miles. Now, no carrier in their right mind is going to do that unless they're trying to like get to some money real quick. On average, it's about between 650 and 700 miles a day. Okay, that's on average. But I just gave you that. I just gave you the high end numbers. If you're on a major interstate and they go 70 miles an hour and you're doing 70 miles an hour and you're driving 11 hours straight, then the most is what? 11 hours times 70 miles an hour. That's 770 miles, right? So, right, and a good point, Steve. Good point. Mountains. So if you're on flatland, 550 a day. Let's say I'll meet you halfway between 550 and 770. I'll say 650. Let's say 650. So if you're doing 650, that means that's roughly what? If you're driving 650 straight, that's a day, like a day, maybe a day and a quarter, day and a half, but about 600, 650. So now you can, as a carrier, you can factor in, okay, if I can do 500, 600 miles in a day, then I can get 500, 600 miles. That's a great distance. I can get to more than one state in a day and then do a 10-hour reset and do the same thing the next day. So now you can see why carriers can get to places in a short amount of time because of the amount of time that they're driving. Now, if it's like you said, if it's mountains, now you're dealing with slopes going up and down. You got to slow down for the speed limits, like 45 miles an hour, 50 miles an hour in certain mountains and slopes and stuff. And then if you're in the city and dealing with tolls, then that's going to take from your drive time as well. It's going to make your day a little longer, or your miles in that day shorter because you're in the city. That's why a lot of carriers don't want to go in the city on the East Coast. A lot of them want to stay on flat land so they can drive faster and get to their destinations quicker, get offloaded, and get their next load. So that's important. So that's an open-ended question, so the answer will vary. There is a site, but there's also it's just experience. I think I had Truck Router. Let's do Truck Router. Okay. I don't know if you've heard of Truck Router, but I'll give it to you. This is free. I'll give you the link right here. This is free. Play with this for a second. I'll let you play with this, guys. This is free. Navigate that. Truck Router. That's a free site. You can play with the miles. Put in start, put in end, put in your miles, the height, and all that stuff, and then hit run the trip, and it'll give you all types of information. There's a user manual here. I don't really have time to do it now, but the user manual link is right there. This is a free site, truckrouter.com. I just put the link in there, but it's an excellent resource. It's an excellent resource. Okay? Yep. Excellent resource for you. The user manual is right there if you have questions about navigating, but essentially you put, like, let's put Norfolk, Virginia, and let's put Columbus, Ohio as an example, right? Just to give you a little bit of navigation. And then you can put routing preferences. If you want to avoid tolls, avoid ferries, avoid tunnels. So it's giving you the best route to take, and it factors in mileage and speed and all this other things. So you can kind of, this may be something toward what you were speaking about, Steve. Remember what I said? That I give it to you a little bit at a time. I'm not hiding it. That's a free that's a free resource. I'm not hiding. I'm giving it to you. There you go. Right there. Yours. So I'm not going to show you how to navigate it right now. I just gave you a little example, but there's a link at the top right, user manual. Go ahead and click that. It'll show you how to navigate all this and all the preferences. You can tune all that out. Truck routing and mileage software, and it's a free site. All you got to do is type truckrouter.com. You can play with it. Hit run trip. You can reset the trip. You want to reset the trip, it'll start it over. So there you go. All right. Are there any other questions? So that's one gift right there. nice gift wrapped resource. And I think it's in the, I thought I put it in Dispatcher 101. It's not, I think it's a freight broker. I think it's on the broker side. But if not, I'll put it in. And I'm still working on an online chat platform as well. Because for those of you who do not know, Facebook, for their Facebook groups, there is no longer a chat feature in the Facebook groups. You still have Facebook groups, but you don't have a Facebook chat. You still have Facebook Messenger, but you don't have the chat where there's a group chat where everybody can talk at the same time, put in content, put in documents and things like that. So I'm trying to find, either through my website apps or an outside third-party software that can integrate through a REST API feature, a group chat where we all can chat. So any questions?
Charles, I just want to talk about a strategy that I use, and I just want to know if it's okay. I kind of build yes, this is Angela.
Okay.
I build a rapport with a broker. I believe yesterday I called for a load, get information on a load, and it wasn't available. So I asked the broker, what loads does he have that he still needs covered? So he gave me like 2 or 3 loads that he needs to cover, and then I went to Truckers Path and did a search of carriers that were in those areas to try to, get another way to acquire carriers. Is that okay for me to do?
That's very okay. That's the best. Yeah.
Okay.
You're thinking outside the box, because what you're doing is you got a relationship with a broker. Now you're doing it to try to get carriers under a dispatch agreement by telling them that you already have lanes available.
Right.
You just need trucks to get in that lane. Yeah, you're thinking outside of the box. You're going outside of the circumference of your understanding. So, or I should say the circumference of your awareness. You're going outside of that circumference, and now you're seeing the forest from the trees. So yeah, you got a relationship with a broker. You're saying, I'm assuming you told the broker, hey, I'm a dispatcher. I have access to carriers. What lanes do you have that you have? What's your pain points? What are some of the pain points of some of the problem lanes that you're having a hard time moving? And of course, a broker going to be like, yeah, because they're trying to satisfy their shippers. So if they can get loads moved to satisfy their shippers, they'll be willing to email you a whole list of loads that they're trying to get moved. Now all you have to do now is just, now you probably can't post those loads like as a broker on the load board. They'll probably do that, but you can reach out. You can put the lanes, you can do a search for the lanes on a load board and then see what trucks are, like you said, what trucks are available in those lanes, and then reach out to those trucks. I'm sure that broker's already done that as well, but it wouldn't hurt you to do it as well. So yeah, that's a good idea. And then put it on social media or whoever else you like, any social, like LinkedIn or whatever social media platforms that you use from a business standpoint. Put it in the network where we used to have the chat group, Facebook chat group, but that's no longer there. But yeah, that's a good idea. That's a great idea. It's a great idea.
So once the chat room is up and running, I could just post loads.
Of course, because other members in the chat may have a carrier with whom they have a dispatcher agreement with that is in that lane already of the loads that you're posting for the broker. And then you can say, hey, yeah, and they'll call you. You could be the liaison between that broker and the other dispatchers and say, hey, yeah, I got a broker who has lanes, just let me know. And then, or you could put the lanes in there, and when they call you, say, okay, I got a carrier, you still got that load. You say, yeah, let me reach out to this broker. Now, the question becomes now, okay, where is compensation at in this process? Right. Where is compensation? Now, on other platforms, it was like, well, if you got a relationship with a broker who has a lot of loads, and then we got this other dispatchers who have carriers in that lane, let's say one of those dispatchers who has a carrier in that lane got with you and booked a load in one of those lanes. So how does that, so once that carrier gets paid for their carrier, what do you get for that, for finding that for them? Do you get like other platforms have like a 2.5%? Like say that dispatcher, say I was the dispatcher that you said, okay, I got brokers with lanes and I got a carrier for that lane and I'm charging 10%. So once my carrier paid me, I give you 2.5 of that 10% for helping me find that, because I didn't find it, you found it. So as a courtesy for your efforts of finding a broker with all these, especially if the loads are good paying loads, or if they're dedicated lanes, that's even more of an incentive for you to get compensated. So that would be a discussion between the two dispatchers. Exodus, I have nothing to do with it. It's outside of my, I'm just a platform that provides the avenue for you guys to communicate. I don't navigate between who pays who what. Now, if you guys come to an agreement like you being the dispatcher who has a broker that has a lot of lanes, that can provide lanes, good paying lanes, and another dispatcher who has or dispatchers who have carriers in those lanes, then you guys will have to come up with some kind of agreement. I'm not involved in that.
Okay.
So, and as I shouldn't be. It's
Right.
not, I shouldn't be. I mean, it's not even fair. It would be, that's between you two guys. You just use this platform as a mechanism to meet. So.
Okay.
Right, that's a good question, Steve. So what is the complication between setting up a chat forum to connect brokers and dispatchers? Because most brokers, well, I can't say that. I take that back. I don't really want to say that. The difficulty is you have to get brokers who are willing to communicate on that forum. And I have a few brokers that I deal with that I just haven't posted some of the lanes that they have yet because those lanes are not paying well. Well, that's the only reason. I don't even want to do you guys a disservice. I'm not going to put $1.50 a mile lane for a reefer into the network because I'll be wasting not only my time, I'll be wasting your time and your carrier's time. So until I come across, I got plenty of brokers I deal with, but until I come across lanes whose rates are worth your time as the dispatcher and your carrier's time, then, train better brokers. Yeah. The brokers are their lanes are not paying well because they're taking a lot of the money off the top, right? So this is how, and I'm sure you understand this, Steve, but for those of you who may not, brokers are the middleman between the shippers who are their customers and the carriers who are also their customers in a sense. They're the middleman. So the brokers get the loads from the shippers. They come up with a broker-shipper agreement, and then the shippers provide them loads. The shippers have a certain target rate that they're selling that load, or they're willing to pay for movement of that load. Let's say, for example, $5,000. So a broker-shipper has an agreement, and then they start sending loads. Okay, the target rate for these loads, let's say 20 loads, is $5,000 per load. Right, and it's a reefer equipment type, and it's going from A to B. Let's say it's a 1-and-1, one pick, one drop, $5,000 is going. Let's say 2,000 miles. Right, let's be fair. So 2,000 miles. So let's give the high end. Let's give the shipper cents per mile prior to the broker taking their money off the top. Okay. So $5,000 per load is a target rate that they're paying for a load that's going 2,000 miles. So 5,000 divided by 2,000, that's $250 a mile for a reefer load. Not good, but not bad, right? But wait, there's more. So now what the broker does with that target rate, they're going to take anywhere between 15 and 20% off the top. Right? Let's say the high end. So what's 20% of $5,000? 5,000. Hopefully you guys can see my screen. Times 20%. So that's $1,000, right? So brokers getting paid $1,000, and then they're going to resell the load to the carrier for what? $4,000, right? You're still going the same amount of miles, 2,000 miles. So now it went from $250 to $2 a mile. So you just lost 50 cents dealing with the brokers. So now that's how that works on the high level. Now, as far as dispatchers and brokers is concerned, now we negotiate to get some of that money back. Some of that $1,000 that they took off the top, we negotiate to get, let's say, 500 of it back. So instead of $4,000 paying to the truck, they may pay $4,500. But brokers have a certain cap that they're going to negotiate up to. They don't want to lose too much money, right? So of the $1,000, if I'm a broker, I'm saying I can't lose no more. I took $1,000 off the top. I can't lose no more than $300. I want to keep at least $700. So I'll negotiate a little bit with the dispatcher or the carrier on a load, not past 300. This is how it works. This is every day, literally. So, and that's the mindset of the broker, mindset of the shipper, mindset of the carrier / dispatcher who's representing the carrier. So that's the game, in quotes. That's the game. So now the dispatchers, whether they fit in this game, is getting good loads for the carrier. If you understand how brokers operate, how shippers operate a little bit, how brokers operate a lot, then you'll be able to have a bargaining chip when you're negotiating with the brokers for your carriers. You'll be a better representative for your carriers, you know, in getting more money back to them, especially if you are familiar with the national averages and cents per mile in certain areas for certain equipment types. But again, that comes in time. As beginners, you want to first get yourself a foundational platform established, understanding the basics, the terminology, the lingo. Once you get all that down, then you move on into the process of negotiation and things like that. So make as many mistakes as possible. And I'm not saying that in a bad way. I'm just saying if you're not making mistakes, you're not trying. You're not even trying, right? So, and you learn, mistakes are the best teachers, right? Hopefully you guys can agree with that or understand why I say that. Mistakes are the best teachers. Why? Because you learn from them. You understood what you did wrong, and then when you go back the next time, you will know what to do different the next time. So mistakes are the best teachers. So learn from them and grow. And then, you know, even starting off as a beginning dispatcher, making the cold calls, you know, you're going to get a lot of no's. But one no is different than the next no when you make another call. And then as you progressing through those no's, you're tightening up your script and your how you're talking to them, and you're going to master something. You're going to master something. So, you know, thank you, Mr. Wash. Which part? Because I said a lot. Make the mistake part.
Learn from your mistakes.
Yes. Yeah, if you don't make any mistakes, you're not even trying. I got that quote. Hopefully Denzel Washington won't file a lawsuit against me. But he made a statement a long time. I listen to a lot of daily motivational things. He said if you're not failing, or if you don't fail, you're not even trying. He also said fail big, right? If you have big dreams, then you fail big. You know, and you don't want to fall back. I want to fall forward, right? The only thing I want to fall back on is my faith, what I believe in. But you always want to fall forward. At least that way you see what you're going to hit. If you're falling backwards, you're not going to see anything. So fall forward. You hear a lot of people say fall, you know, I want something to fall back on. I need something to fall back. I don't want to fall back on anything but my faith. I want to fall forward because that way I want to at least see what I'm hitting. You understand? All right, guys. I didn't mean to turn into a church session, but I apologize for that. But any questions? I'm gonna get offline. I had a long day. I was gonna cut it short, but you know, as you talk and answer questions, and then we all come into an agreement, you know, time just passes on its own. Hopefully, you guys use the truck router resource. There are others, but I give them to you a little bit at a time. So, but this is a good one. It'll give you practice, how to navigate, and everything. So, yes, I listen to TED too. TEDx, yes. Roger that. Yes. I knew we were on the same page, Wash. Same wavelength, same frequency. So, are there any more dispatcher related questions? Anything you guys need moving forward? All right. Until Sunday, 11 a.m. If anything changes, I will let you know on the Facebook, Dispatcher 101, Exodus, and the How Much Money You Need to Move Your Truck Facebook pages and groups. I communicate there, let you know whether training is a go or not. Later in the week, I'm going to be dealing with my mom, consoling her a little bit because she's in a nursing home and her roommate just passed away. I just found out this morning. I haven't had a chance to actually go. I may go over there tonight. It's kind of late, but I may go over there anyway just to see it. I'm definitely going to see her tomorrow. So, and you know, her roommate and her, they were kind of close. So when you're close with someone and you lose that person, it's kind of tough. So I got to go over there and you know, spend some time with that. So it's not a bad thing. I'm just, you know, it's what you got to do what you got to do. So you get one mom. So. So thank you, Steve. I appreciate that. You know, we human too, right? We still have human things going on in our lives. Even though we're trying to be successful business people in the area of freight dispatching, we are still humans and we still have lives that are going on. So which adds to the realistic aspect of what we're doing. You know, we are real people. You know, even though we're trying to be successful people, there are still real things going on in our lives. So yeah. Thank you very much, Stephanie. I appreciate that. So until I see you guys, hopefully, God willing, Sunday. It more likely will be Sunday, 11 Eastern Standard Time. Other than that, if you can also reach out to me, let me put my cell number here I always put my cell number down to be reached by every time. You guys should have it memorized at this point, right? So, all right, guys, it's been a pleasure. I've actually learned a lot too talking with you guys, especially Angela and Steve and Angela. We've learned a lot. I'm going to call Dat. I'll leave it as it is now. If there's some Steve and Angela, let me know the bugs a little bit. The main thing is kicking us out when we're logged in or not logged in. That's the thing we have to figure out before I make the call to DAT, because I want to have all my ducks in a row when I speak to them. I think it's a one-user license issue, but we will see. Okay? All right, guys. It's been a pleasure as always. Much success to you guys. I'm always here for you with any questions and concerns. And keep me posted on your guys' progress so we can try to grow together. All right? All right, guys, until Sunday, I will see you. Thank you very much for the attendance to the training this evening.